Hi, I'm Kian Pasco. Today we're going to take a closer look at vaping. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Most people think that vaping is a fairly new thing introduced in the world in the early 2000s. However, the first electronic cigarette patent was filed in 1963 by Herbert A. Gilbert. Herbert's patent looks almost exactly like an e-cig and includes familiar concepts like flavor cartridges, heating elements, and smokeless flavored air. Today, because of innovation, there are three main types of vapes: e-cigarettes, vaporizers, and vape mods. E-cigarettes can and cannot have nicotine, and were supposed to use to help smokers quit. These are usually the cheapest option. Vaporizers are more powerful and can cost between $35 and $300. They can also use nicotine, but they don't have to. Vape mods are the most powerful type of vapes and are geared towards more experienced vapors. These can also be dangerous and have been known to explode if the batteries are not maintained properly. There are many arguments about the dangers and/or benefits of using e-cigarettes and vaping in general. The first argument is about the value of e-cigarettes to help smokers quit. Those who have successfully quit smoking by vaping instead will argue that vaping is many times safer than smoking because cigarettes have so much more harmful chemicals, including tar, which has been proven to be the main cause of health problem in smokers. The process of smoking includes the combustion of tobacco, which includes thousands of chemicals, 20 plus of which have a strong connection to causing cancer, and nicotine, the addictive chemical that gives the user to desire to want more. When people say they're addicted to smoking, they're addicted to nicotine. The main process of vaping removes the need to combust anything, removing a handful of the harmful chemicals in smoking. Studies on the vapor produced from vaping suggest there's a significant difference between the number of cancer-causing chemicals found in comparison to cigarettes. There are usually 3 to 4 chemicals found in vapor: propylene glycol, vegetable glycerol, a food-based flavor, and optionally nicotine. So if you compare the two lists of chemicals, it would seem that vaping is way less dangerous to health than smoking, right? But if this were the only argument, we could probably draw the simple conclusion that vaping is way better than smoking. But the topic is actually more complex now that the manufacturing of e-cigs and vape mods have become something of an industry. With over 450 brands and 7,700 flavors on the market, it has been estimated that there is an average of 10 new brands entering the market every month for the last 2 years, a recent internet survey found. These numbers are interesting because it is estimated that in 1966 more than 40% of Americans smoked. Today in 2018 the number is closer to 18%. If the only users of e-cigarettes were smokers who wanted to quit, all the new vaping products entering the market might seem a bit overkill for the actual numbers of smokers wanting to quit. But actually, vaping has become something of a fad among young teens who never smoked. Even though it is illegal to sell vape juice to anyone under 18, though regulations and laws are only now being considered, it is not illegal for a teen to vape. Which brings up the next question to consider. Is vaping no longer just for helping smokers to quit? Does the argument that the fewer chemicals in the vape juice still hold up that vaping is healthier? Can you say that choosing to inhale something is good just because it's better than inhaling something that has proven to be bad?
No way!
As a way to contrast this, is it better to jump off a 50-foot cliff or from a second-story window? You might choose the window, but what if you had a second option, to not jump at all? Would you still jump out of the window? What if the choice is based on nothing more than peer pressure? Would you still choose to jump out the window just because all your friends are doing it? If one of your friends was seriously injured from landing wrong, would you hesitate to join the trend of window jumping? How do you feel about munching on Tide Pods? Secondhand smoke has been proven to be unhealthy for non-smokers who inhale what smokers exhale. So does that mean the vapor of an e-cigarette that is exhaled is bad for anyone who is near enough to breathe it into their lungs? The argument is no, because the lungs of the one vaping filters out the chemicals, so the second-hand vape is clean. Wait, what? Huh? If we use a little logic, we must ask, if the lungs filter out the chemicals of a vape, why is the second-hand smoke from a cigarette still full of chemicals? What happens to the chemicals filtered out by the lungs then? Do they go back into the bloodstream and then the other organs like the liver or the kidneys? A new wave of smaller vapes has swept through schools in recent months. Officials say replacing bulkier e-cigarettes from the past, vaping is becoming a bathroom event in many schools, including middle schools, and even in some grade schools. Although buying e-cigarettes is illegal for anyone under age 18, and some states have bumped the minimum age to 21, students say they can buy them online or from older friends. Some say there are dozens available on sale in school hallways at any given time. The rise of teen vaping has sparked concern among parents, politicians, and federal health authorities, who announced in April 2018 a nationwide crackdown on underage sales of e-cigarettes. The Food and Drug Administration issued a warning to retail stores as a part of its new operation against illegal sales. It also requested marketing and design on documents from the maker of the Juul, a popular vape product that is shaped like a flash drive. The agency says it's looking into whether certain features are specifically appealing to young people. Some schools have been inundated by the Juul, which dispenses a flavored vapor containing higher concentrations of nicotine than tobacco cigarettes. The device's maker says it's intended only for adults trying to quit smoking. Its website aims to block underage customers, and the company says it supports laws to raise the minimum age for vaping products to 21 nationwide. But critics say the Juul's sweet flavors and stealthy design seem to be aimed at kids. In an April 18th letter to the FDA, a coalition of medical and health groups called for a suspension of online sales until authorities rules against underage sales. But what good are stronger rules? Kids are breaking the rules that are already in place. Would it not be better to focus on educating kids about the potential long-term effects? There are more reports now that kids are using stronger combinations that include marijuana and even heroin. Before the last decade of the 20th century, most people smoked cigarettes. It was not only acceptable, but cool. Cigarettes were advertised on TV and in magazines. It was common and expected that actors smoked in movies. Many high schools had placed their campus set aside for teens to smoke after lunch. We now break for a word for our sponsor if this was 1949.
You know, if you were to follow a busy doctor as he makes his daily round of calls, you'd find yourself having a mighty busy time keeping up with him. Time out for many men of medicine usually means just long enough to enjoy a cigarette. And because they know what a pleasure it is to smoke a mild, good-tasting cigarette, they're particular about the brand they choose. In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Why not change to Camels for the next 30 days and see what a difference it makes in your smoking enjoyment? See how Camels agree with your throat. See how mild and good-tasting a cigarette can be.
But then in 1964, after the FDA finally concluded that cigarette smoking was linked to many types of deadly illnesses in the United States, Surgeon General issued a warning, and then all the cigarette packages were required to carry a health risk warning. It took many years, though, to go from 40% of the population to 18% of the population of people who smoked. How can we know information like where the Milky Way will be in 3 billion years, but we can't know the long-term effects of vaping, since we already know that breathing any chemicals in is bad for our health? If you've never smoked, why vape? You can eat bacon instead. You decide.